Q&A.
Hey, Joe, get the door.
We asked that brothers uncover their heads. Sisters cover their heads. Let's face Jerusalem. Open up for Bible Q&A. You go ahead, bro.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done in earth.
Thy will be done in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread,
And forgive us our debts.
and forgive us our debts,
And we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation,
But deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom,
And the power.
and the power,
And the glory.
and the glory,
Forever.
forever.
Amen.
Amen.
Everyone's about it real quick.
Q&A. What we got?
I got a question.
There you go.
The question was, the people over, the people that's called Jews, that's over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say they're Jews, but they're not. Wouldn't they be like almost in the same boat we in, as far as not knowing their past? Because if you, now, their ancestors, I don't know, but the people, the Jews today, they really believe they're Jews.
Right.
And they don't know their history. Just like we didn't know our history. So, do they know they are fake Jews, or do they know their history? You know what I mean? Are they in, like, because we didn't know our history. We don't know, as far as we go back to slavery.
Right.
That's what David was telling us as we growed up in, in our history.
Right.
What are they telling them in their history, as far as, because they don't know nothing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. So when you look at us as a nation, right? The Lord said, let's go and look at Deuteronomy 28 real quick, pertaining to us. All right, because what happened to us, God put this on us, and like, because it was given unto us for us to know the things pertaining to God. It was given unto us, but through our disobedience, now the Lord has taken our inheritance away from us. So now it's kind of like we don't know, But what they did some slick stuff. You know what I mean? And we're gonna go and read that in Obadiah as well. It's like they did something slick that was against us because of what occurred with Jacob and Esau. Isaac blessed Jacob instead of Esau. And Esau, he took ill of that. And all the way until, even us going into captivity, Esau, our brother, had something to do with that. So they know who they aren't. They know that they're not the Jews. That's why they call themselves Jews and not, oh, I'm of the tribe of Dan, or I'm of the tribe of Gad, or I'm of the tribe of, Naphtali. They can't trace themselves back to that. So this is why they call themselves Jews. But we know Jew derived out of Judah. So what happened to the other 11? You know what I mean? Like, you calling yourself Jew, but what's with the other 11? You know what I mean? So what we better look at Deuteronomy 28 and just look at us. You know what I mean? Because God is the one that put this on us. As far as in, us being in the world lost, us not knowing our heritage, us not knowing that we are the children of Israel, that we supposed to be living a certain way, and we supposed to be teaching all the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve how to serve the true and living God. We don't know that because we up under this curse. So let's look at this Deuteronomy 28 real quick. Deuteronomy 28. And let's look at start at verse 15. Because we know the beginning is the blessings. But, we far from that. So let's look at the curses. Because that's what we came under. So Deuteronomy 28. And let's pick it up at 15. Deuteronomy 28:15. When you get it, go ahead and read.
But it shall come to pass that thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So we see is that the Lord is saying, hey, look here. If you ain't going to obey my voice or keep my commandments, these curses are going to come upon you. So we can read through all these curses, and for the most part, we can identify every one of these curses to a T. But let's pay attention to some of them, though. Skip down to verse 25 and read that. I'm sorry, verse 24 and read. I'm sorry, 25 and read that.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them. Thou shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
So we're going to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth, meaning we're going into captivity. We're going to be killed within our captivity. Skip down to verse 32 and read that, though.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. And there shall be no might in thy hand.
So we gonna have no might in our hands, according to what we read in Joel chapter 3. What, a young girl was sold for some wine, a boy was given for a harlot. But that occurred with us. Why? Because of what we read in verse 15. Because we did not, hearken unto the Lord, as well as us not knowing that we was the priesthood nation that God was talking about, that was supposed to be teaching the world how to observe him. Skip down to verse. Because we ain't going to read all these curses, because it's a lot of them. So skip down to verse 41. I'm sorry, verse 37, and read that.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee.
So, we that proverb and that byword. Skip over to 68. Because this is, the kicker. This is, the final cause as to this nation being disobedient. Because when you look at the Bible, you look at what? Numbers. You look at Judges. Judges had to be set up because it was judges over the nation of Israel. But in the book of Judges, Israel was going in and out of captivity, in and out of captivity, in and out of captivity. You had Samson was a deliverer of them out of captivity, but we kept going in and out of captivity because we was being disobedient unto God. So this right here is the ultimate captivity, outside of Egypt. Because we before we became slaves in Egypt, we was free men. But then when Joseph died, the Pharaoh didn't know, when the new Pharaoh came up, he didn't even recognize Joseph. Then Joseph died. Then now Israel went into bondage. And that's all we've ever been dealing with because of our disobedience. Read verse 68 though.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake thee unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
So now you're going into captivity. A bondman is a male slave. A bondwoman is a female slave. But now we went into Egypt by ships. Because what? We was disobedient unto God. Go over here to Isaiah real quick. And what we dealing with why Israel as a nation is lost, or why we don't know our history pertaining to the ones that call them Jews. Don't know they they know their history. You know what I mean? They just pulled the big switch. That's what they pulled. So look at this on. Hold on, let me go. Lord, remove. I'm looking for this script. Remove their heritage. That I gave you. Yeah, let's not Isaiah, but Jeremiah. Jeremiah 17. I think that's what I want.
You said 17?
Yeah, Jeremiah 17. Yeah, relinquishing. I think that's what I want. When I see it, I know it, but I don't think. This is it. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue. Yeah, this is it. Jeremiah 17. Let's start at verse 1, though. Jeremiah 17 and start at verse 1. Go ahead and read.
The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron.
You see that? The sin of Judah. You know, this would be Israel. So it says what? The sin of Judah, you know, is written with a pen of iron. Go ahead.
And with the point of a diamond. It is graven upon the table of their heart and upon the horns of their altars.
And this is what Israel was dealing with. This is why the Lord said in Deuteronomy 28, is that, all right, you don't want to obey me? These are the curses that's going to follow you. But this is why, though, because what? It says the sin of Judah was written as a pen, and the pen tip was like a diamond. And it was graven upon the table of thy heart or upon the mind. What it says in verse 2, though.
Willest thou children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the high hills?
And this is like we worshiping groves or we worshiping other gods. That's what we was partaking in, finally. But what is saying 3, though?
O my mountain in the field, I will give thy substance and all thy treasures to the spoil.
You see that? Like the Lord said, I'm going to give all your treasures to the spoil. And what else?
And thy high places for sin. Throughout all thy borders.
Go ahead.
And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave you.
You see that? The Lord is the one that did this to us. You know, he said what? I'm going to discontinue in your heritage. Like I gave you all of this, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take it away from you. So now when you look at us as a nation, we the walking dead. You know what I mean? So that's why when you're going to look at that Ezekiel, the valley of the dry bones, yeah, we are starting to wake up, but as we look at us as a nation, we the valley of the dry bones. Like we dead spiritually. But this is why, because our sin and our disobedience unto God. So we see is that verse 4 says, and thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee. What else it say?
And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
You see that? Like now we apply to what? That Deuteronomy 28 and 68. You're going to go into Egypt again by ships. Not like the Egypt when Joseph went into Egypt, because he didn't go into Egypt by no ship. You know what I mean? He went into Egypt as a slave because he was sold into the Arabs or the Ishmaelites. But he went into Egypt in that aspect. But now the Lord is talking about worldwide Egypt, meaning wherever we go at, we're going to be in bondage. But the Lord is saying right here, he said what? And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. What else it say?
For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
You see, this is why we are clueless as a nation. This is why we have no representatives. This is why we are the base of all nations. It's because God is the one that put this on us. Now, as for Esau, let's go over to Obadiah real quick. But before we go to Obadiah, we'll read Obadiah and then we're going to go somewhere else. Let's go over to Obadiah because they know. They know very well who they are and they know who they not. It ain't no secret, man. Like the secret is unto us. It's because we don't know. You know, that where the secret be at, because they know they pulled the big switch. You know, when you look at what I think, what is it, 1968 or
48.
48, yeah, 1948, the British Mandate is when they went back into the land and declared saying the Jews are back. Like, come on, man, are you serious? Like, you had a sultan over there, I forget his name because he was on Time Magazine. And he was saying, man, what he knew when the Jews left, they was of a dark people. But when they came back, those weren't the Jews that he knew. Because they wasn't a dark people now. They are your, Edomites. Or the ones that's posing as the Jew. But like, nah, man, they know. And by them knowing, even the prophet Obadiah had wrote about it, knowing that they knew. So let's look at this Obadiah chapter 1. Obadiah chapter 1. And let's pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead.
The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
Keep going.
Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
So he's talking about Edom. He has made them small among the heathen. But thou art greatly despised. Go ahead, verse 3.
The pride of thine heart have deceived thee.
Go ahead.
Thou have dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, who habitation is high.
So we ain't talking about, they literally habitating in the mountains on the cliffs of the rocks. He's just talking about how their pride has got them. They all high-minded or they all proud now. So that's why it says that, the pride of thy heart, have deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high. What else it say?
That say in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
You see that? That's pride. Like, your mind on a whole nother level. Because, nobody can't take us down. You know what I mean? Like, nobody can't do that. He's talking to Edom, though. Keep reading, though, verse 4.
Thou shalt exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence I will bring thee down, saith the Lord.
So the Lord is the one that's going to bring them down. That's why when the Lord returned on the Day of Atonement, he finna kill off the nation Esau or Edom. That's going to be the sacrifice for us as mankind. So that's going to occur on the Day of Atonement because of what they did to his brother, us, Jacob. When you look at the prison institution, Esau is the one that run the prison institute. Like, they run the NBA, they run Hollywood. They are the ones that run that. But when you look at the contraband as to what's coming in and out and how they dealing with us as the ones that fill up these prisons, they making a spoil of us. They making they mocking us as a people. Because it goes all the way back to this. Like, they know who we are. They know who they're not. Skip down to verse 9 and read that, though. No, verse 8. Read that. I'm sorry. Read verse 7. I do that a lot too, James.
That's all good.
Go ahead.
All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Mm-hmm. The men that were at the peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wonder under thee. There is none understanding in him.
So he said all the men of thy confederacy. Because, they became confederate. They came together and conspired against us as a nation. So that's why the Lord is saying what? The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. What is it in verse 8 though?
Shall I not in this day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau?
Go ahead.
And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by the slaughter.
You see that? They're going to be cut off by the slaughter. T-Man, Esau, they're the same one. But the Lord is saying they're going to be cut off by the slaughter. And this is why. Verse 10.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
You see that? It says, for the violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. But what is it in verse 11 though?
In the day that thou shalt understood on the other side, in the day that the strangers carry away captive his forces, and foreigners entered in his gates.
You see that? Like, we was carried away captives, and now foreigners entered into our gates. So the big switch. We was taken into captivity, and now Edom came into our land and occupied it, calling themselves the Jews. That was the 1948 British Mandate. That's what they did. They went into our land, even though we was already cast out of the land at that point, but still, they went into the land claiming our heritage. But keep going though, bro. And cast lots upon Jerusalem.
Okay, I got you.
Go ahead.
And cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou once as one of them.
You see that? They casting lots on Jerusalem. Casting lots on the land. But keep going though, verse 12.
But thou shouldst but thou should have not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither should have thou been rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress.
Go ahead.
Thou should not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity.
You see that? The Lord is saying, man, y'all shouldn't have entered into that land in the day of their calamity. Like, y'all shouldn't have done any of that. You know what I mean? Like, you knew what was going on. You know what I mean? And by you partaking in it, like, you don't put your hand all in the midst of it. The Lord is angry for that. So he said, thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Go ahead.
Yea, thou should have not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity.
Go ahead.
Nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
You see that? They laid hand on our substance. So now, you know, they walking around claiming what's ours. As is theirs. What it say in 14 though?
Neither should have thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape.
You see that? Like, we trying to escape, and they cutting off all exit points. Like, we can't even get out. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they doing. They actually, you know, like the Lord just said through the mouth of Obadiah, neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. What else?
Neither should thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress.
Man, Esau had his hand all in the cookie jar. Let's go over to Psalm 74 real quick. They knew. Like, nah, them jokers, they knew, man. They just, the Lord, what he put on us, we don't know. Psalm 74. Like, we don't know now. You know what I mean? Because we was being disobedient unto God. So, like, now, we don't have a clue. We call ourselves Gentiles when you talk to, you know, the typical Israelite. Nah, man, we Gentiles. Oh, really? Okay. All right. You continue in that. But that's the Lord, though. You know what I mean? The Lord is the one that dropped that on us. So let's look at this Psalm 74, and let's pick it up at verse 7. Psalm 74 and verse 7. Go ahead.
They have cast fire into thy sanctuary.
Go ahead.
They have defiled by the casting down that dwelleth the dwelling place of thy name to the ground. Mm-hmm. They said it in their hearts, let us destroy them together.
You see that? They said in their hearts, man, let us destroy them together. But it says what? They have cast fire into thy sanctuary. You know, like that's burning all the books and all the artifacts that we had, you know, to even identify ourselves. But you know, their artifact today is how they identify themselves as being the Jew by their grandparent, which is the woman, not the man. Like when you ask the Jew, how do he know he's a Jew? He say by the blood of my grandma. Like the grandma don't carry the seed. All she carries is the egg. That's it. That's all the woman carries is the egg. So she can't determine a nation. The man is the one that determines the nation. See, that's the whole wrong right there. You know, when you be like, for real, bro, your grandma's how you identify as a Jew. Well, like we can go and talk to the doctors, and the doctors will tell you that in the womb, if a baby's in the womb, they do not share blood. The mom and the baby in the womb, they do not share blood. If they do, it is a health risk. It's a huge risk. So in other words, the baby that's in the womb came out of the blood of the man, which is through the seed. That's what determined a nation. You can go and read that in what? Judges chapter 1, I think Numbers chapter 1. It tells you that, but that's how they say they are Jews, by their grandparents. That's all. But we see right here in what Psalm 74, it's saying what? They have cast fire. Verse 7, they have cast fire into thy sanctuary. They have defiled by casting down the dwelling place in thy name to the ground. Read verse 8 again, bro.
They said in their hearts, let us destroy them together. They have burnt up all the synagogues of God in the land.
You see that? They burnt down all the synagogues of God in the land. What else they did?
We see not our signs. There is no more any prophet. Neither is there among us any that know of how long.
Go ahead.
O God, how long shall the adversary reproach? Shall the enemy blaspheme thy name forever?
Let's go over here to Psalms 83 now. Psalms 83.
So is everybody getting it wrong with the that time when Trump announced about the Capitol? Yeah.
The capital.
With the Capitol, and then he met with Netanyahu, and Netanyahu was calling themselves like, you know, saying that the prophecy was fulfilled with the dry bones.
I ain't even see
You
that.
didn't see that?
No, I ain't see that.
Yeah,
Wow, he said that?
Yeah, he was talking about the prophecy was fulfilled. The prophecy has been fulfilled about the valley of dry bones.
Wow.
Yeah. So
You
when
know,
I was talking about, I was like, see, he's like, Trump don't even know, man. If that's the case, or he do know who the people are.
Man, they know,
they're
man.
Not gonna,
They ain't gonna-
on TV.
they ain't gonna tell that. Cause like even during that time, you know, the president or whatever he called himself over on Jerusalem, over Israel, he was actually, you had people, you know, some Philistia Jews, people of color,
Yeah.
like knowing this theirs, and what he was doing was he was getting them out of the land. Meaning like this happened last year, the beginning of this was going on for a good little while. And they was getting fed up to the point where they was like, hey, look here, you know, we'll give you some type of a stipend to, you know, get you up out of here. Or if you don't get up out of here, we're going to lock y'all up. And eventually we're going to kill you. But it was us going over there, occupying the land, like, nah, this is ours. We have the right unto this. But that didn't catch media's attention.
Yeah, because
You
he
know.
was trying to pay him off to get out the land or something.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like that called NPR.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it didn't catch worldwide news, you know, but that's the first time I ever heard that. You know what I mean?
He actually said that.
Wow.
Why
Wow.
did they wait till 1948 to do this?
What's that?
To say that they're a nation? Yeah, to say that they're a nation again. Why did they wait till 1948?
They didn't make this up in country.
Nah. What'd you say?
Was that, what, a 6-day war or something?
And then they said,
You said the 6-Day war.
They didn't make this up in country to begin with. Like what country? America had something with it. 1948. Israel passed.
Yeah, that was a lot to do with, you know, America, you know, having something to do with the establishment of what occurred when Israel went into the land. The same thing happened in Cuba. You know what I mean? Like when they moved all the real Cubans out of there, and then they just put a whole lot of white people down in there, and now they try to make it seem as if, like, you know, Cuba is just all white. Like the same, that kind of stuff been going on. You know what I mean? But let's look at this Psalms 83. What, you was raising your hand?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw something.
That's kind of like the Samaritans too. In Jesus' day.
Yeah, they like the woman at the well. She thought she was, you know what I mean, Israel, but she was a Greek. She was a Greek, if I'm not mistaken, according to what Mark was saying. But I mean, that stuff been going on.
Think about Herod.
Who?
Herod.
You said Herod? Yeah,
Yeah.
Herod. He was an Edomite.
He wasn't Israel at all.
No, he wasn't.
He was an Edomite.
Uh-huh.
But they put him into that position, and he was acting as a Jew. That's what the name. I'm quiet. Be quiet.
Okay. Let's look at this Psalms 83. Psalms 83, and let's pick it up at verse 1.
Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace. And be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
Go ahead.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones.
And we the hidden ones, you know, so they don't consult it against us. All right? But that's what Obadiah was said, is that, you know, they became confederate with other nations, what, to keep us hidden, though. But what it say in verse 4, though?
They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
You see that? Like, they all was conspiring together to cut us off as being a nation, so that the name Israel can be no more remembered. Verse 5.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
So these are the ones that became confederate with one another. Verse 6.
The tabernacles of Edom.
So he right out the gate. You know, Edom, our brother. This is why the Lord, when he returns, he going to kill him. The nation, Esau. They going to be a sacrifice for the world. But right at the gate, because that's our brother. Like, seriously, you going to sell your own brother out? Your flesh and blood? You going to sit there and watch him be taken into captivity? On top of that, you're going to block him off from even getting out of the captivity. And then, now, when we take it into captivity, you're going to move in our land and occupy it as if it's yours. Like, nah, the Lord is pissed off with Esau right now. So that's why what we see is that in verse 6, it says the tabernacles of Edom, and who else?
And the Ishmaelites.
Our brother as well, or our cousin. You know, however you want to call, you know, Ishmael. You know, he the son of Abraham. You know, the one that didn't receive the covenant. But when you think about it, who all over there fighting over our land? The Arabs and the Edomites. You know what I mean? They over there fighting over our land, and yet we so dumb bogged out that, you know, we come from Africa. You know what I mean? Or I mean, okay, you know, if you want to say Israel is a stretched, extended part of Africa, that's what you can see on the map when they came up with the Suez Canal. That's what separated it. But before that point, it was an extended hand of Africa. But they so far from even saying, I'm the Jew. Nah, I'm a Ham. That's what they consider themselves. Our people. You know what I mean? But we see what? That Ishmael and Edom are fighting over our land or our heritage. Who else?
Of Moab.
Moab, that's Lot kid. So that's the seed of Lot. You know, that's Abraham, what, nephew. You know, but all these have became confederate. What else?
And the Hagarin.
Keep going.
Gebal and Ammon, and Amalek and Philistines with inhabitants of Tyre.
So all of them, man, they all became confederate against us to get us up out of there. But nah, man, them boys, they know who we are. They know who they ain't. You know, they know their history is exactly what it is. So that's why, you know, they conspired and came up and had our history taken, and now it's their history. But man, you know the truth. You know what I mean? But nah, them jokers, they know. That's good. Yes, sir. Praise the Lord. What's up?
One thing to it. Okay. Book of Malachi also.
Okay.
Chapter 1. God gonna bless those He gonna bless. He gonna damn those He gonna damn regardless. And so I'm gonna go ahead for Malachi chapter 1, starting at verse 1, verse 3.
The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord?
No, Esau was Edom. You know, Jacob, that's where we come from. Go ahead, you go.
Yet I have loved Jacob, and I have hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
Like, for whatever reason, God has always loved Jacob, and God hate Esau. So when you ask, do they know who they are? Yeah, if you become a country in 1948 and they name you Jewish, ISH, because we all speak English in here, ISH stands for something like. So you're something like a Jew. So it's like me saying I'm an Israelite-ish. That don't make sense. But they Jewish. They never say they Jews. They don't even say I'm from the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, for the rest of them. They say I'm Jewish. What tribe you come from? They can't give you one.
That's right.
They got the 6-point star, which they know in the Bible, it's no stars in the Bible.
That's right.
That's the star of Mithra. So everything they believe in shows satanic symbols. They know what they're doing. We don't know what we're doing. You feel it? Like, they keep the Sabbath also. They keep feast days. They do it at the wrong time. But at the same time, they know who they are. We don't know. They born knowing. If this is made in 1948, you born in 1948 when you're 70 years old. That's all my mother did. So for 70 years, Israel being a country. Believing, so we'll be going back and asking questions like, how did we get to this? People the same age going back asking their ancestors, how did we become a nation? How did we become a country? They got to let them know it's during the Arab and Israeli war where the United Nations made us a country. They know they ain't the real thing. Even 1980s, the president over there even had an article saying that they ain't the real ones, but this is how it's going to be. We just don't know.
Praise God.
Better yet, we don't care to know.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't care now. They want to live, they have to die. Don't care about the
All right.
That destroy for black and house.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm good on that question. Claudette, what else we got, baby?
I didn't write the scripture down because we were just talking. When the Lord says, "Do not hate your brother," is he talking about Esau, or is he talking about just in general the world?
What is he doing? He got used to
Yeah,
bathroom.
he talking.
He got used to
He's
bathroom.
trying to sleep.
Oh, okay. Oh,
We was talking about, the brother, like, us in this room, we call each other brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Is she talking about them, our brothers and sisters, or just
Esau, because Esau was our brother.
Let's go over to Leviticus real quick. It's either in Leviticus or hold on for a second. And that's why, the Lord said vengeance is his. So, like, he gonna deal with all that. You know what I mean? We just gotta hold fast. We gotta hold fast as to what we supposed to be doing. Deuteronomy 23, not Leviticus. We supposed to hold fast as to, being humble servants unto God. So when he said, love thy brother, that's, when you look at we're going to go look at the Samaritan too. That's, that would be considered anyone for the most part when you look at the Samaritan. Not just, us in this room in the truth. But look at Jesus. You know what I mean? When Jesus came, he said what? I didn't come for those that was in need of a physician. I mean, he said I came for those that was in need of a physician. The ones that was already healed, like, they ain't really need no physician. But he was kind of getting at them, letting you know is that, like, you really do need to be healed. If you think you don't need me to heal you, like, you really need to be healed. But he was clearly letting you know is that you gotta be humble. You gotta come with a humble approach when you're dealing with just people, period. But let's look at this Deuteronomy 23 real quick and just read verse 7. Deuteronomy 23 and verse 7.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite.
So you ain't gonna hate, abhor, hate, an Edomite, because why?
For he is thy brother.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian.
So we ain't gonna abhor an Egyptian. We can't, the Lord said vengeance is his. So in other words, like, we can't hate him because he hated us. So we supposed to love Esau because that's our brother. So the Lord said what? Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because what?
because thou wast a stranger in his land.
So you was a stranger, you know, in the land of the Egyptians. So us being a stranger, being in captivity, like, we not supposed to hate them. You know, like, we supposed to love them. You know, but, I mean, let's go look at this Samaritan real quick. You know, there's measures with that. What I mean by measures is like, you don't have to invite them over to your house. You know, we having Sunday dinner. Y'all want to come over? Like, you don't have to do all that. But you don't need to be getting back at them because of what they did unto us. You know what I mean? Because God going to deal with that. And Lord willing, you going to be rolling with him when he get ready to do all that. You know what I mean? So let the Lord deal with that, because the Lord just said, what? Don't hate an Edomite because that's your brother. Don't hate an Egyptian because you was in captivity to the Egyptians. Like, nah, that ain't supposed to be us. So let's look at this Samaritan real quick. Let me find the verse. I think it's in Matthew, ain't it? Somebody said something? I thought somebody was giving me a hint where it was at. Samaritan. Let's go over here to I thought I was going to tell you. Luke chapter 10. Luke 10. I'm on the line of your question, right, sis? Oh, okay, all right. I just be wanting to make sure I stay. Yes, sir. Luke chapter 10. Luke 10, and let's start it on 25. Luke 10 and 25. Go ahead.
And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?
Mm-hmm.
He said unto him, What is written in the law? How readest thou?
Mm-hmm.
And he answered, saying, Thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart,
Mm-hmm.
and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and will do thy mind, and thy neighbors as thyself.
You see that? Like, you're going to love the Lord with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind. You're going to do thy neighbor the same manner. Right? But what does it say, verse 28, though?
And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right, this do, and thou shalt live.
Go ahead.
But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Jesus, And who is my neighbor?
So who's my neighbor? You talking about I need to, love the Lord and my neighbor the same way. Who's my neighbor? Because he said what? He trying to justify himself. Right? What does it say in verse 30 though?
And Jesus answering said, A certain man went down to Jerusalem, to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Mm-hmm. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him and passed by to the other side.
You see that? Like, it says what? The Levite, and then it also said what? A certain priest. So you got, your religious people. This your Levite and this a priest. They supposed to be men of God. But they looked on and they passed by. What is it in verse 33 though?
But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him.
So this Samaritan, he had compassion, on the man who was stripped of his things. 34.
And went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him.
Mm-hmm.
And on the morrow when he departed, he took out two pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee.
Go ahead.
Which now of these three thinketh thou was neighbor until him that fell among the thieves?
The Samaritan, he was more neighboring unto the guy who was a stranger. He didn't even know him. He just felt sorry for him. He had compassion on him. You know, but this is the kind of love. If we professing this unto God, we should be professing this unto, you know, people that's not dealing with the same body of Christ, but like just those that's in the world. You know, this is the love, you know, so you know, when the Lord said, love thy brother, like we supposed to love Esau, or we supposed to love Edom. We know who they ain't. We know they ain't the chosen ones. We know they ain't the Jews. But what they did to us, and the Gentiles, and the Hamites, like, God gonna get them for that. What we got to do is keep the course and keep serving God, you know, with that humble and contrite spirit, you know. Kind of like the Samaritan. That's how we got to be, you know. So, any comments?
One more quick, Matthew 5.
Mm-hmm.
You said
Matthew 5. Mm-hmm.
Start at verse 44. It's hard sometimes to love a person who ain't never cared about you and rape your mother and sister and drug up your daddy, but we got to remember that we GITs. We are all God and trained. I'm talking about, so we have to learn how to do right. So let's go to Matthew 5, start at verse 44.
But I say unto you,
43.
43.
Yeah.
Ye have heard that I have been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor.
You gotta love your neighbor, you gotta love your brother, right? Keep going.
And hate thine enemy.
Go ahead.
But I say unto you, love thy enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that which despisefully use you and persecute you,
Keep going.
that ye may be children of your Father which is in heaven. For he hath maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain unto the just and to the unjust.
Keep going.
For if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye?
None. Keep going.
Do not even the Republicans.
Why you saying Republicans? They talking about politics.
I messed
You
up.
mad at Trump? Knows how to go.
Let me start from 46. For if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye?
Because you're supposed to do anyway. Like, keep in mind, like, I think it was law that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, foot for a foot. But then when Jesus came, he like, look, this how it's gonna go. Like he said, you gotta pray for those that use you despitefully. If you love them that love you, what is your reward? Nothing. Like, that's like my man right here, if he needs some money, I gave it to him because he needed it. But I see a homeless man on the street that actually really needs some money. And I'm like, oh, this dog's on bomb. That don't look good in the Lord's eyes. And we all probably fell into that one time or two in life. But like you just said right here, read it again, please.
Start from the beginning.
Yeah, 46.
46. For ye love them which love you, what reward have ye?
Go ahead.
Do not even the publicans that's the same?
Keep going.
And if ye salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, as your Father which is in heaven perfect.
God is love. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of his names, like God is love. So if we gotta love our brother, we gotta love our enemies. Even though it's hard. Y'all from Mississippi. So I grew up not liking people in life. But the truth of the matter is, you gotta pray for them. Lord, have mercy on them. Because what you're doing, you making their fire even hotter. Once you get to the lake of fire, you go. That's all we can do is pray for those. Pray for the brothers who hate you. Pray for your enemies who say they love you and they give you false love. Pray for them. By doing that right there, you're not only helping them, you're helping yourself.
Praise the Lord. That's That's good, sis. All right, praise the Lord. I know you got some more, or anybody else?
I got a little something with that. The reason why I guess I'm saying that is because when you, all right, you know, I know you're talking about love, but you also come against, you also bring anger at times. And the anger brings in hate. Anger brings in animosity. It can bring in a lot of different things towards a person. At the same time, you know, God had anger on him as well, you know, when he was in the wilderness. You know, and you know, if it wasn't for Moses to be able to save the couple, where does that play in part as far as love? You know, because you have that anger still towards somebody. You know, how can you love them when that anger is kindled?
Are you talking about? Say it again. Right. Let's go over to Matthew chapter 5 real quick. Because, I mean, you got to. You know, I mean, because before we go here, let's go over here to, we're going to hold your finger at Matthew 5. What happened to my thing on Google? 99. Hold on. Let's go over to I think it's let's go to Ephesians real quick. Ephesians chapter 4. Cause like you gotta keep that under control. You know, you supposed to be a humble, obedient servant of God. So you can't be around here raging. You know what I mean? Because, like, that raging could lead to something else. That raging could lead to you going against thou shalt not. See, God said thou shalt not kill. Well, shoot, you around here raging, you know, you can mess around and do something to somebody by mistake and end up taking their lives. So you gotta, you know, keep yourself in a state of control. Read 26, 4 and 26. Go ahead.
Be ye angry and sin not.
You see that? Because that's what anger can do. You know, it can take you over the deep end. And the deep end is causing you to sin against God. So that's why, what? It says, be ye angry and sin not. Go ahead.
Let not the sun go down upon your wrath.
And this is why you always want to, you know, hey, boy, cut that out, okay? Because you ain't sleep over there. All right? Keep your feet to yourself. This is why, you know, you want to bring any reconcilable issues with your brother or your neighbor. You know, your next door neighbor keeping you up all week for a month long with his loud music and they loud partying. And you ain't never go to their door and address them. Now it's just building up. Now it's building up. And now the cup don't overflow. So now you like, you know what? I can't take it no more. Now you go over and you address it, but you don't address it in the spirit of meekness.
But what if you address it first?
Okay.
Continue.
If you address it the first time, then what? What? I mean, what you want? I mean, either you keep addressing or you get the law involved. However you want to deal with it. But what you're not going to do, you know what I mean? What you're not going to do is you're not going to cause your neighbor to cause you to sin. You know what I mean? Because you represent God. Like the brother was saying, is like we gods in train. So like Jesus is the ultimate example of how we should try to walk in this life as we live. And yeah, people gonna piss you off. That's why let's go and read go over to
calm Jesus was when they hung him on the cross, right?
He wasn't calm in that temple when he was sitting there with the
Nah, he wasn't. Let's go over to Romans real quick. Let's go to Romans chapter 12.
Yep, time with everything.
Romans chapter 12.
Romans 12.
Yeah, Romans chapter 12. And we'll and let's start at, read one verse. Verse 18. 12 and 18.
If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men.
So if it's possible, you know what I mean? Like, but you got to get to a level. And that level that you got to get to is, once you continue to just keep eating the word of God, then you'll start to profess the humble spirit. You know, humble as a dove, or be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. You know, that's what you'll start to begin to profess. Because now, what? You live in godliness. So all of that comes with godliness. Let's go over to Peter real quick. Let's go over to 1 Peter. All of that comes from godliness, which is temperance. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta, like, develop these things. And it's not easy. I'm not saying that at all, because I be having relapses. You know what I mean? Like, I be playing street ball. And like, dude say something stupid, I have a relapse, and I go to him and I apologize though. You know, I go to him and be like, you know what, bro? I ain't apologize because I'm afraid. I'm apologizing because I was wrong as heck, man. I was wrong as all get out. Like, please forgive me, man. And I don't know what was in his mind. He probably already intimidated by the stature of me, so he already thinking about a pistol immediately. He might be. But what I just did was I diffused the whole situation because I came to him. And that's what we supposed to be as servants of God. We supposed to try to avoid as much altercation as possible. You know what I mean? Like, we supposed to be, knowing you could probably smash whatever, you supposed to be like, nah, bro, you got it. You running, you kind of running from the situation because, like, that's how we supposed to be. That's why Paul was saying what he was saying. You know what I mean? Possibly. He said, possibly to live peaceably among all men. So check out this Peter real quick. 1 Peter, huh? That's it? Oh, you already know what I'm talking about. That's it? No, that ain't it.
No, it's not from 8. 9 is
Hold on. I think it's 2 Peter.
Am I running?
Nah, I ain't talking about. What you said?
About the conduct.
Where is that?
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. Starting from verse 8.
Finally, be ye all in one mind, compassion. Refrain. Let him refrain.
Not railing evil for evil or railing for railing.
Yeah, that's it. But I ain't looking. That's a good one though. Where is that? I see it. Verse 9.
Verse 9.
Yeah, read that though.
We'll start where?
Just read verse 9.
Not railing evil for evil, not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contraries blessing, knowing that ye are thereunto called, that ye should inherit a blessing. See, this how you supposed to be. This how you supposed to be, and it's in 2 Peter. But this how you supposed to be. 2 Peter chapter 1. How you supposed to be into your brothers and your sisters. You know what I mean? Like, nah, okay, you did it unto me, we ain't gonna do it back. That's how we are with Esau. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he ran us in captivity, or he took spoil of us, but guess what? We ain't gonna do it back to him. You know what I mean? Because that's our brother. The Lord got him on that bid, but we ain't supposed to be doing tit for tat. All right? Let's look at this 2 Peter chapter 1 real quick. 2 Peter chapter 1. And let's pick it up at verse 3. Go ahead. According as his divine power have given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that have called us to glory and virtue.
You see that? Like, it says what? Given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness through knowledge of him. Then it says that have called us to glory and virtue. But what it say in verse 4 though?
Whereby has given unto us exceedingly great and precious promises, that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust.
Verse 5.
And beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge.
So this is, as you walking in the Word of God, these are characteristics that you're supposed to be building within yourself. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to what? Faith, unto faith, virtue, then virtue, knowledge, and what else?
And to knowledge, temperance.
See that? So now you got this knowledge on the Word. You're supposed to develop some type of temperance. You're supposed to be like, okay, well, dang, man, let me go over here and try and negotiate something with my neighbors before I have to call the law or before I have to start popping some shells in the air. You know what I mean? Like, let me go over here and try and negotiate with him. Hey, you know what, bro? You know what I mean? I got my kids, man. We over here trying to be cool with each other. Like, bro, you keep disturbing us all week long with your loud music. Can you please keep it down? You know, you coming at him with that humble spirit, like the brother or sister, they gonna bend. I don't see it happen. You know what I mean? Where they'll bend from that because you know what? All they can say is like, you know what? The guy's been nothing but nice. He's been nothing but patient. You know what I mean? Let's try to resolve this matter between the two. But that's even what Romans, I think 1 Corinthians chapter 6, if I'm not mistaken, it tells you should be able to go to the saints before going to the law or the unjust. You should be able to go to the saints. We should be able to reconcile these issues that are very minor. But we see is that what? Within your walk, it says, it says to knowledge temperance, and temperance patience. And what else?
And to patience, godliness.
You see that? Like this patience is going to bring godliness now. You know what I mean? And that, like I was telling the brothers when we first pulled up, like my first son taught me a lot. He 14 now. But like I used to tell them stories about like, because Michael, he pretty good at potty draining. But like my first son, he got good too, but I forced him because of my impatience. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have temperance with him. So I developed that because he had a little brother right behind him. And it taught me a lot of patience. So now just understanding the word, that makes it even more so beautiful. It's because like now, the Bible been always teaching you how to be patient. That's why you got to be, that's why you say what? Be ye angry and sin not. That's all a form of temperance and being able to cope with people. Because look at Jesus. Jesus said, man, look here, man, I can have a whole legion of angels come and break all this up. You know what I mean? In other words, I'm letting y'all do this. That's what Jesus was saying. Like, he told Peter, man, why you cut that man ear off? Because, like, shoot, he was trying to come and get my Lord. Peter was actually defending him, but Jesus was showing humility. He was showing, he was removing all the forces that he could have had to dismantle all of that. He was removing all of that and was like, here, take me. You know what I mean? So we got to have that same type of approach if we call ourselves godliness or servants of God. Yeah, it's hard. It ain't something that happened. Yeah, it ain't something that happened overnight, but we see right here, it says with that patience, then come godliness. And then what it said in verse 7?
And to godliness, brotherly kindness. And to brotherly kindness, charity.
You see that? Like, that's the key right there. Like, man, if you got charity, me standing up here, charity supersedes this. You know what I mean? Because you got brothers who got all this knowledge, but they don't know how to treat their brothers in the truth.
Right.
And, like, that's an issue with God. You know what I mean? Like, that's a huge issue with God is because, all right, I can sit up here and read book. I can give you the understanding of this, but I ain't showing no love towards you. Like, that's an issue. And that's why the Lord was saying is that, like, man, charity supersede all of that. Because that's godliness. We see is that what? Patience, godliness, to godliness, brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness, charity. Verse 8.
For if these things be in you, and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ.
So you ain't going to be unfruitful. You're going to be fruitful. You know what I mean? But without these, like, you unfruitful in the eyes of God. So, it's that's right there. Yeah, it'll get you. Like it's all a process, man. We all trying to keep that old man dead. or that old woman. Like,
Go knocking on that door.
we,
Say it the wrong way, you gonna turn it up even louder.
yeah, you're right. He gonna do it to provoke you, and guess who that is? That's Satan. That's all that is. Now he pricking at you. Like, yeah, we finna make him flip. We finna invite 20 more people over here. You know what I mean? Nah, man. You at that point, man, you already done addressed it. At that point, the Lord will deal with it.
I appreciate that.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he'll definitely deal with it. But you know, any comments?
That was awesome.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, it was.
Praise the Lord. I don't know. You got that joke got that bang on his hip. You can't have no attitude with that.
For real.
For real. Somebody say too many wrong things. I think it's better than what you know.
Yeah.
I think it's better than what you know, because if you walk around with that, and you know,
Shot nobody.
it ain't peeled one off. He probably don't came close, but you know, yeah, ain't peeled one. Then you better than what you think. Mm-hmm. Anybody got any more questions?
That was good. It took some minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
It takes some time.
you know, you go through different, you know, instances in life, man, and you gotta deal with people, man, in a certain kind of way, and you know, people, some people you can even be nice to them. They might come out and you say something wrong, you ready to punch them in their face, and I can't help that.
You're right.
Some people don't understand kindness.
Nah, they don't. But then what you understand though is who that spirit behind that whole makeup. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't even dealing with that individual in front of you. You dealing with the spirit that's behind their mind, and that ain't nobody but Satan. You know, so I used to have a hard time identifying that. I ain't saying I know how to identify it to the perfect right now. Nah, but you know, once you can get that part under control, it's kind of like you got the war almost won. You ain't even halfway. It's just almost, because you know it comes from different. It comes from different directions. You know, it don't always just come from, you know, the next door neighbor with loud music. You know what I mean? It might come from, you know, your coworker just being real grimy and despitefully using you right in your face. You know what I mean? And then behind the scenes being grimy, and then you find out about it. You know, sometimes to me, that's way more worse than my next door neighbor with the loud music. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's many directions where it come from. We just got to be able to identify and know how to deal with it. And it takes a lot. It ain't nothing that happens overnight. It definitely takes a lot. But, you know, that's a part of being a trainer. Yeah. What you got, sis?
The four horsemen.
Okay.
Apocalypse.
That's in Revelations?
Yes.
Okay.
What chapter?
What's that? Revelation 6, I think.
What was you gonna say in Matthew 5 before I was still holding my spot?
Oh, Matthew 5. It was. You know what? Let's go and read that real quick, and we'll come back to this on Revelation 6. I think that's where it's at. Revelation 5 was just really talking about.
Matthew 5.
I'm sorry, Matthew 5. Thank you. Matthew 5 was talking about. You know, I get this from Jediah, the Beatitudes. You know what I mean? And these are, you know, the attitudes that you want to have in order for you to even get into the kingdom of God. This is how you should be in your walk. Let's start at verse 3. 5 and 3. Go ahead.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
So you poor in spirit, you know, that's you being humble. You know what I mean? You got a poor and humble spirit, but we see the reward to that is what? Is the kingdom of heaven. Verse 4.
Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Go ahead.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
You see that? The meek, they're going to inherit the earth. You know, but these are characters that we want to add into our walk. But what it say in verse 6 though?
Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled.
Yup, go ahead.
Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy.
You see that? So if you're merciful with others, then you're going to obtain mercy. You know, that's why we got to be forgiven of our brothers. You know, God forgave us of our sins. You know what I mean? Because what? He sent his son into the world to die for our sins. So if God himself can be forgiven, then we should be able to be forgiven. That's mercy. So that's why we see is that what? It says, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. What else it say?
Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God.
See, the pure in heart, you know, these are the ones that, you know, don't remove those evil thoughts. Ooh, I want to just, you know what I mean? Like them thoughts. Like you ain't, your mind ain't even with that no more. So you pure in heart, but look at the reward behind it. You going to see God. But this is what you want to be too. Verse 9.
Blessed are the peacemakers,
You
for
see
they
that?
shall be called the children of God.
You see that? You're going to be called the children of God because you're a peacemaker. You know, you ain't, all right, bro, you got it. You're right. You know, hey, I was wrong. Even though you wasn't wrong, you know, great practice to me is with my wife. You know what I mean? Like, shoot, I be finding out a lot. I be apologizing for a lot of stuff that I don't be wrong about. But, you know, I don't mind doing it because what it's going to do is it's going to bring peace in the house.
You said it was joke on that?
Huh?
You said it was joke.
Oh, but it's gonna bring peace in the house. You know what I mean? Like I know I can keep going, and then it's gonna be turmoil. It's gonna be fuss, and it's gonna be this. We're gonna be going backwards and forward. Nah, but somebody gotta make peace. So now when I said peace, now we hugging, doing all the things that a husband and a wife gonna do to reconcile the issue. You know what I mean? But it's saying what? The peacemakers. It says, blessed are the peacemakers. And not, like I said, that's great practice for me with my wife, because if I could deal with my wife, like, I could deal with my next door neighbor. You know what I mean? Like, that's great training for me. And I take every grain of salt that comes with it. You know, but we see that it says what? It says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. See, that's what you're going to be called. You know what I mean? When you can go to your neighbor and try to be peaceful about the situation, and now, you know, they're going to just see something in you. They're going to be like, you know what, man, that brother came over here very humble, man. And we've been nothing but this. They're going to feel, the Lord going to put his spirit on them to feel bad about, you know what I mean, whatever they've been doing. But keep going, though.
Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake.
And that's, I mean, you can keep reading it, but I was coming here for that verse 9. But, you know, that's how we want to be. That's yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough because we even see Jesus snapping sometimes. He's human. You know what I mean? He didn't go all the way off on the deep end, but like even when the disciples could hear the little boy, he said, "Man, you old perverse and faithless generation." Like that's some hurting stuff. Like I was like, "Dang, what Jesus now?"
What he said it to us.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, like, I mean, so, you know, man, he was human, but he still didn't take it to the point of, because he broke it down to them afterwards. He said, you know what? The reason why y'all can do it was because of y'all faith. Once y'all get y'all faith up, y'all can do whatever. And that's what they did after he died and resurrected and went and sat back on the right hand of the Father. He gave them power. So you saw Peter bringing the kid back to life. You saw Paul doing it. You saw, you know, Philip dealing with the Holy Spirit, taken up in a whirlwind. Like they started getting all these gifts because of their faith. You know what I mean? So, you know, Jesus, like I said, he didn't take it off on the deep end. He got a little weary himself. Yeah, so, you know, but that's why I was going to Matthew 5.
Got it.
Yep,
Appreciate it.
Praise the Lord.
The Beatitude.
Mm-hmm. So Revelation 6. That's where it's at, right? Yeah, I think. Mm-hmm. Is that it? I'm trying to find. Yeah, that's it. The white horse. Yep. And then a red horse. Okay, let's start at Revelation 6. Mm-hmm. Revelation 6 and start at verse 1.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, and it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts, saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him.
Now, before we keep reading, do you know what time period this is?
No.
Okay. We'll keep reading.
Oh, this is mainly Joe's question.
Where he at?
I guess it was the restroom.
Let's ask one of your questions before we come back. Do you have any more questions?
No.
You don't?
No.
You had a whole list that I was looking at when you.
Well,
You had me
I
nervous.
asked you two of them.
Yeah, she had me nervous. I was like, dang, she came with a whole tablet.
I had asked you about the individual nations in Deuteronomy 30
Oh, okay.
and 3.
Yeah, you asked that loud in front of everybody. Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't personal.
Deuteronomy 30 and 3. I asked, is God doing that not only as a nation to his people, but is doing it for the individual Israelites?
Okay.
Deuteronomy chapter 30 and 3. You get that?
Let's start at verse 1. And the question is, because I think we was on the lines of, was this individual or was this as a nation?
Right.
Okay. All right. So let's start at verse 1.
And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all their heart, with all their soul.
Keep going. Because it said what? In the bottom of verse 1, it says, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations. Right? But keep going though.
That then the Lord thy God will return thy captivity and thy compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord thy God hath scattered thee.
So the Lord say what? He gonna gather you from all the nations, whether he has scattered you. A large body.
Will he have
Large body.
compassion on us as individuals?
Okay.
And will return and gather, or as a nation?
Okay. A large body of people united by common descent. All right.
She wait for you to get back.
Yeah. So you say, hold on, say that one more part, because I was reading some as you was saying what you were saying. I'm sorry about that. Say it again.
Will he turn our captivity and have compassion on us as an individual, or as just a nation?
Okay. In our case right now, right? When you look at in our case, it's per individual. You know what I mean? In our case right now, when the Lord is addressing this at this point, it's referring as a nation. You know what I mean? Because we in Jerusalem at this point. So Israel being in Jerusalem, the Lord is saying in verse 1, he's saying that when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curses, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations. So, this is as a nation. Now he's saying what? In verse 2, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thy heart, with all thy soul. So we see is that, like I was saying, per individual, that's happening to us right now. We still, in the land of our captivity, but as a nation, we don't fall under these curses all the way as to what I would say. What I mean by that is, we doing the commandments of God. You know what I mean? Per individual. We keeping the commandments of God. You know, we keeping the dietary law, the commandments. So, you know, my kids ain't victims of being shot down in the streets because of what I'm doing. I'm teaching them how to fear God and keep his commandments. So if I'm doing that, then they're going to already know, okay, I get pulled over by 12. I need to go ahead and act like I got some sense. You know what I mean? Because you teaching them how to respect authority. That's per individual. But as a nation, like that don't make us. Like we're not as a nation on that level. So, yeah, you let him know he kind of loud out there. Whatever. Oh, he can move from out the window? That's Job. But we see right here in verse 3, read that.
Then that the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and thy compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord thy God hath scattered thee.
So where the Lord has scattered us as a nation, the Lord is going to return and gather us. You know, if we turn back unto him. And this is going to carry out all the way until the end, until the Lord himself returns. So we see is that what? It says, and I will return and gather thee from all the nations which the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. Go ahead, keep going.
If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee.
Go ahead.
And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers.
Keep going.
And the Lord thy God will circumcise thy heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God.
You see that? The Lord is now going to circumcise your heart. That means he's going to pull the foreskin of your heart back. And now you subject to one to serve God. You subject to one to keep his commandments. You ain't kicking against that no more. That's the nations that he's gathering that's scattered in the outermost parts of the earth. Keep going though.
To love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, that thou mayest live.
Let's go over to Ezekiel real quick. Let's see, Ezekiel probably make it a little more sense. I don't know. Ezekiel 20. Because I say per individual because we aren't there yet as a nation. You know what I mean? Like us as a nation, like when you look at, that's dealing with the truth. And when I say the truth, I'm talking about not bashing against the white man is the devil and this and that. Like they got a little bit of truth, but I'm talking about when you look at like between Israel of God, Israel Church of Jesus, Household World of Faith, all these different, churches that are set up dealing with, keeping the commandments of God, like it's very small. Right. It's not even over 50,000 people. Like we still a drop in the bucket. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's why I say as a nation, because like each and every one of us in our neighborhoods, we represent Noah. And what I mean by that is we like them 8 souls out of a whole neighborhood that's dealing with the word. You know what I mean? You go to your house, you leave your house, probably 30 houses down. Nobody ain't dealing with no truth. You know what I mean? So you might be one in your neighborhood out of 100. So we still on a small scale when it comes to, the Lord return us from our captivity as a nation. We still on a small scale. So that's why I would keep saying per individual, we serving God in the capacity as is written. But as a nation, we far from that. So that's what the Deuteronomy 30 is referring to as a nation of people. Because check out this Ezekiel chapter 20. Ezekiel chapter 20. And let's pick it up at verse 32. Go ahead.
And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all. Mm-hmm. That ye say, we will be as the heathen and as the families of the country to serve wood and stone.
So we're not going to be like the heathen anymore. That's not going to come to mind. Right? But what it say in verse 33?
As I live, saith the Lord God, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you.
Go ahead.
And I will bring you out from the people, and I will gather you out from the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out.
So the Lord is going to gather the children of Israel out of the nations that they're scattered amongst. What is it say in verse 35 though?
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there I will plead with you face to face.
So the Lord, before he allowed them to go into the land that, our fathers possessed, like, nah, you got to go into the wilderness first. Like, you got to go here first because, like, you're not taking that foolishness into Jerusalem. Like, nah. So you got to go into the wilderness and do what? Verse 36.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Lord God.
Go ahead.
And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
So the bond of the covenant, what? Them commandments. That's what fall under the bond of the covenant. So the Lord said what? He said, and I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. And what else? Verse 38.
And I will purge out from among you the rebels.
You see that? Like the rebels, they're going to get purged out. But we talking about, at this time, we talking about the nation now. We're going to go and read it. But we see is that what? The Lord said, I will purge out from among you the rebels. Go ahead.
And them that transgress against me.
Go ahead.
I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn. And they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Lord.
You see that? The Lord going to kill the rebels, the ones that transgress against him, and they're not going to enter into the land. Let's go over to Isaiah chapter 11 real quick. Isaiah chapter 11. Let's start at verse. Start at verse 10.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for the ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
So unto us the Gentiles gonna see. That's why I said what? And root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. Jesse, we know we talking about Jesus. But it's going to be done through us, through the children of Israel. Because what Paul was saying, what we deal with the oracles of God. So that's how it's going to be done through us because we preaching Jesus, the son of Jesse, which it's referring to Jesus. David being the offspring of Jesse and Jesus coming out of that offspring. But keep going though. Verse 11.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people.
You see that? So now we're going to gathering the people. Gathering the nation of Israel because this way they're going to be scattered at. Keep going.
Which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea.
And all these are black nations. But this is where we scattered amongst. But then when he says what? All islands of the sea, that would be what? Your Western world. When you look at America, what? America is an island itself.
That's a lot of good.
There you go. What am I going to All right. Go ahead. Go that way. Okay. But so the Lord gonna gather us from all these nations. Then he said from the islands of the sea. What is it in verse 12?
And he shall set up an ensign for the nation, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
You see, so he gonna gather, us from the four corners of the earth. This will be that nation. This will be that nation that now, they gonna come under the bond of the covenant, or they gonna be keeping the commandments of God. But, according to Deuteronomy 30, that's pertaining to a nation, but it's not at that point as of right now, because we far from a nation keeping the commandments of God. You know, we per individual, but not as a nation. So the Lord, you know, He gonna gather them and make them come up under the covenant, and if they don't, He gonna kill some of them.
So we're blessed as individuals because we do keep the law, statutes, and
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes, ma'am. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Praise the Lord. All right, you want to ask your husband a question about them horsemen?
Oh yeah, and about that meat thing.
Okay. About that what now?
Meat and patient and what was that? You guys said with your wife? What you said?
Oh.
How you roll with your wife?
Oh, I mean, I'm.
Oh, man.
Nah, I mean, with my wife, out of 10 times, I say I'm like that 6. I'm getting better at it, but I let her have it. You know what I mean? I apologize. I'll be like, yeah. You know, even though I'm wrong, I'm still apologizing. You know what I mean? I'm wrong about it, but I do it to just diffuse the whole situation because I could keep carrying it out. You know what I mean? Like we could keep bumping heads, and like now we ain't getting nowhere because it's still going. But you know how you diffuse it? You just be like, you wave your peace flag. All right, man, you got it.
You got it.
Yeah, you win. You know, I'm wrong. I'm so and that's
When you really right, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't let her know that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't say that. I don't, I hope she don't see this video either. But
I'm right all the time.
yeah. But let's look at the Revelation 6 real quick. This your wife said this was your question, so we just wait till you got back in here.
The question was on the 4 horsemen. Something that we seen. It was about the horsemen were named. The first, the white horseman, white horse was considered to be Muhammad.
Mm.
And it had to do with the temple over there in
You talking about temple or Dome of the Rock?
They were saying that about the Dome of the Rock.
The
The
Dome.
Quran
Muhammad, the Quran
teaches that.
says the Quran teaches that the Dome of the Rock is where Muhammad was taken when he was on a white horse or something. That's why they built it there. Which in the Bible it says God said that's what they're saying. Don't measure the outside, which is where the temple.
The Gentiles.
That's where that's built at.
Right.
So it was just we were trying to figure out the horseman because we know that's not the right spot or something.
Right.
But we wanted to know about the 4 horsemen.
Okay.
Are they correct on what they were saying? The 4 horsemen was.
Okay. Nah, not
No, the
the
Quran.
prophet.
The prophet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's look at this Revelation chapter 6. Do we know what time frame this is before we start reading though?
No.
Cause that'll help it out a great deal. Just to let you know it don't coincide with what they saying.
No, all I know is they were saying that was the horseman and
And then they said a green horse.
the green horse was the death.
Mhm.
There's a white horse, a red horse,
A black horse
a
and
black
a green
horse,
horse.
and a green horse.
Okay.
Pale green. Pale green.
Pale green.
Pale greenish. That's a funny color. Let's look at if it's pale and green. I thought it'd just be green. But anyways, it ain't got nothing to do with this. What we reading right here has nothing to do with whatever doctrine they promoting from this, because this right here is talking about the Great Tribulation. This is what's going to be going on. So each horse represents some type of destruction that's going to be happening on the earth during the 3.5 years. And he's just using horses as, some form of symbolism. You know what I mean? Yeah, so let's read it though. Revelation 6, and let's start at verse 1. Because these seals, these are, wrath that's coming from your religious leader or your military leader during this time period. That's all it is. So go ahead, Revelation 6 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And I saw when the Lamb opened up one of the seals, and I heard, and it was the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he sat on him, had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer.
Go ahead.
And when he had opened up the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given unto him to sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and they that should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Mm-hmm. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he sat on him with a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts saying, Come measure the weight of a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast saying, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that said on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with the hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth.
So we see is that what? We see is that you're going to have, the white horse is going to have a bow, a crown going to be given. And all this is talking about, I said is the great tribulation. Because what? It says in the pale horse, what he had, death and hell, and it followed him. And what it says, and he had what? And it says to kill with sword, with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth. What it say in verse 9 though?
And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God, and for the testimony which they held.
Go ahead.
And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, do thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth?
Keep reading.
And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest ye for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled.
So their fellow brethren, they got to be killed to fulfill this prophecy. But let's hold this finger right here. Let's go over to Daniel real quick. Daniel chapter 11. Daniel. Old Testament. Daniel chapter 11. And let's pick it up at verse 1. Because Daniel, he had a vision. And, God gave the angel Gabriel the vision to give unto Daniel pertaining to these dreams that he was having. Because, Daniel was dealing with these nations that was going to come up and rule the earth. You had the Babylonians, you had the Medo-Persian, then you had the Greek Empire. Now we're dealing up under the Roman rulership. So Daniel, God was giving him this vision, and throughout this vision, he saw throughout the Roman rulership the time that was going to come, how the whole earth was going to be affected through this last and final dynasty, which is Rome. And through them, we're going to experience tribulation that we had never experienced, no nor ever. So what we saw in Revelation chapter 6, it was just talking about what was going to take place during the Great Tribulation, using, horses or whatever to just identify destruction. But let's look at this Daniel chapter 11 and read verse 31. Because it's saying practically the same thing as to what we read in Revelation 6. Go ahead.
And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate.
So these are all signs that we must pay attention to, because this right here is going to get your great tribulation started. When the daily sacrifices started, they're going to place the abomination that make it desolate in the Holy Land. Once they place him and stop daily sacrifice, you right here, the great tribulation is going to take off. You know, so that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the great tribulation, just so that we know that. Verse 32, go ahead.
And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits.
Verse 33.
And they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, and by captivity, and by spoil many days.
You see that? We saw that in Revelation. You know, we saw how, like, the pale horse, he was going to be able to, you know, you saw one of the black horse, he was going to mess up the balances. You know what I mean? Because now you got to take that mark. The balances are going to be messed up to the point where, like, now, you know, it's saying what? Penny for a wheat or something to that effect. In other words, man, you know, is that mark is going to be implemented in order for you to even buy and sell. You know what I mean? Like, that's all associated with that Revelation 6. We're going to go back to that and keep reading it, because it's going to, if I'm not mistaken, that chapter is going to get into detail pertaining to the mark. But we see is that what? Even right here in 33, it's saying that what? And they that understand, verse 33. And it says, and they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword, and by the flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days. Verse 34.
Now when they shall fall, there shall be helped with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries.
Verse 35.
And some of them of understanding shall fall to try them.
So some of them are going to fall to try the next man. You know what I mean? Like, you know, God forbid me and James get caught up in the great tribulation. You know, shoot, they cut my head off and they asked James, hey man, you still want to serve this God? You know, that's what it means when they say it's going to cause some of them to fall to try the others. You know what I mean? Because he going to get tried. Now his faith going to be on the line. Like, dang, I never seen a man be beheaded right before my eyes. Like, do I still want to serve this God? That's what it means when it says try others though. But keep going though.
And to purge and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed.
It's yet for a time appointed, but it says what? To purge. That's what it's all about. To purge those to see, hey man, if you all in or if you all out. But that's going to bring it to light though. If you ain't all in, that's going to immediately bring it to light. What it say in verse 36 though?
And the king shall do according to his will.
You see that? Now we're looking at a king. And we see that this king is the one that's going to do according to his will. What else it say?
And he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done.
Go ahead.
Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women.
So he ain't going to have no desire for women. Like, his mind's going to be focused on ruling this earth with hard rigor. So his mind ain't nothing going to be able to come in between him. A woman ain't going to be able to come and bribe him, saying, hey, you know, you might want to take this in order to, you know, free my family up from taking the mark. Nah, that ain't how it's going down. His focus ain't even on that. It just said what? He going to magnify himself as a God. That's how he going to magnify himself. So it says, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. Let's go over here to Revelation real quick. Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11. And let's pick it up at verse 1. Revelation 11 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And there was given to me to read until a rod, and the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of God and the altar, and them that worship therein.
So it says, measure the temple. So that's the reed like unto a rod. And you know the angel going to rise and measure the temple of God. Verse 2.
But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and to the holy city shall they tread underfoot 40 and 2 months.
So they're going to tread the holy city under their feet 40 and 2 months. That's 3.5 years. 1,260 days, that's 3.5 years. That's during the period of the Great Tribulation. But the Lord is saying, hey, you know what? Don't even measure that. Like, that's given to the Gentiles. Leave that out of the measurements. That's what he's saying. But the court which is without the temple, leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. Verse 3.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,263 days, clothed in sackcloth.
That's 3.5 years. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 6. And now let's pick it up at verse 11. Revelation chapter 6 and verse 11. Go ahead.
And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest ye for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled.
Go ahead.
And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree catcheth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island was moved out of their places.
Let's go over to Matthew 24. That's the end of the Great Tribulation. That's what we was reading. Letting you know is that all these different horses just represent destruction that's going to be going on during the Great Tribulation. That's why we read that Daniel chapter 11, just letting you know is that who's going to be running the earth during that Great Tribulation, and the destruction that's going to occur is going to be the time of the Great Tribulation. So now let's go over to Matthew 24. Matthew 24, and let's pick it up at 29. Matthew 24 and 29.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken.
That's the same thing we was just read in Revelation 6. The end of the Great Tribulation. Matthew 24 is end time prophecy. Jesus is letting us know, even I think in what? In Matthew 24 and verse 16, he tells you to go back. No, 15. He refers back to Daniel the prophet. Talking about this same abomination that make it desolate. He going to stand up in the holy place. And when he stand up in the holy place, all hell finna break loose. That's what it ties to that Revelation 6. That's just destruction dealing with or coming from man. So now we saw in verse 29 is letting you know immediately after the Great Tribulation, the same thing that we saw in Revelation 6, we seeing it occurring right here in Matthew 24 and verse 9. Read verse 30 though.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heavens. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angel with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of the heaven and to the other.
That's it. So that's all that's saying, man. That's all that Revelation chapter 6. All it's talking about is, wrath of destruction coming from man during the Great Tribulation. And then even in Revelation chapter 11, when he was telling them to leave the court of the Gentiles out of the measurements, like that could possibly be that area near the Dome of the Rock. But when they're gonna build that, it's gonna be in an area where they don't even have to conflict with one another. You know what I mean? Because if they go over there and mess with that Dome of the Rock,
It's gonna be some problems.
It's gonna be some problems. So you know, it's set up to where they gonna build that. It ain't gonna be no issue.
I hear that the actual place is somewhere in Africa.
Nah,
That's what they was trying to say on History Channel the other day.
nah.
But I do have a question.
Yeah, it gotta be according to prophecy. But go ahead.
I know. In
That was it, though. I'm sorry, sis.
Yeah.
That was good. Okay, all right. Praise the Lord. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In Revelation 13, when it talks about taking the mark of the beast,
Mm-hmm.
how it says right hand and forehead. But then in 21, in 20 it says hands.
Mm-hmm.
And you shouldn't take the mark, but
Right.
we was talking about it, and she said, "What if a person is left-handed?"
No, not me. I didn't say that.
And I told her it don't matter. No, because you were saying it goes in your right hand.
Right.
But I said no matter,
That's not
because you
true.
got people putting their chips in either hand. I said, no, it don't matter what you just putting it in your hands.
Right. What'd you say? What if you ain't got no hands? Hey.
They're going to put your forehead, right? Or
Yeah.
Right. So
Today we seen hands, and that's why you see me walk over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was saying the same thing.
Right. It don't matter. It don't matter. Left. Yeah. Yeah. When you take it, it's over. You take it. You take it on your foot. It's over. Hey, you take it. It's just it's a wrap. Yeah. You took the mark. You trying to hide. You trying to hide something from God.
Yeah, you trying to be slick.
Oh, like, he ain't put it in my hand on my forehead, Lord. He put it on my thigh. Like, nah. You go.
In the utter darkness.
You know, I understand. Yeah, the Bible does say, "Hey, your right hand on your forehead," because it's giving you. Let's read it in Revelation 13. It's giving you a church or a people who are doing this. You know what I mean? This is letting you know who to watch out for, who is practicing this stuff. And what it's doing is they do it Ash Wednesday. You know what I mean? They put a mark in your forehead and in your right hand. I don't witness it because I used to be married to, you know, somebody who was a Catholic. And I went to sermons with them. They didn't put it on my children and me, you know, because I thought that, this ain't the Baptist tradition, huh?
Let's put that cross there.
Yeah.
And they put it on your hand too?
Yeah, they put it in your forehead. They put a black cross in your forehead and in your right hand.
What do you mean with a mark or something?
Nah, with ashes.
From the palm?
It's
Like when you do
Catholic.
like the palm
They
Sunday?
do it
Nah, it's just Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, no,
But it's associated with Palm Sunday.
they burn the,
It's
palm
tall
Sunday.
into Easter and all. Yeah, it's a long, drawn out Easter, doggone
40
Mardi
days of
Gras.
Lent, all that.
It's Lent. It's
All
all
that
that,
together.
and it's just like some ash they don't burn. They grinded it down or whatever, and then they take it. You go up, you make this prayer, and then they mark you in your forehead and in your right hand. I don't witness it. Like, nah.
Why would they mark that?
They practicing.
That's all they letting you know what we
getting
finna read
ready
in
for
Revelation 13, who you need to be watching out for who doing it. You know, because that's the office that it's gonna come from. Them the ones that's gonna be running the earth for this 3.5 years. Your religious leader is coming out of the papacy. He coming out of Rome. You know what I mean? Which is the Vatican, or the Catholic Church. So they are the ones today that's practicing these things right here, far as in the mark in your right hand and in your forehead. They doing it today. So let's look at this Revelation 13, and let's start at verse 2. I meant verse 3. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Start at verse 1.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 7 horns. Upon his horns 10 crowns.
10 horns.
Upon his horns 10 crowns.
You said 7 horns.
I did.
It's okay.
And upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet was as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him power and his seat and great authority.
So when you go back and you read Daniel chapter 7, verse 2 is all four nations as one now. You know, when you look at the Babylonian Empire, they had, I think, a lion or something like that. Then when you look at the Greek Empire, they had a leopard with wings or something to that effect. So now when you look at verse 2, it's all of the dynasties as one, but it's talking about Rome because they are the last and final nation out of the Gentile dynasty. So that's what we reading right here pertaining to who we talking about. We talking about Rome right now. So it says, and the beast, which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his great power. Gave him his power and his great seat and great authority. Go ahead, verse 3.
And I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast.
Go ahead.
And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
What does it say in verse 5?
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
That's your 3.5 years. So, you know, he going to rule for 3.5 years, right? Skip down to verse 15 and read that, though.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast.
So he going to have this power. I don't know what the image is going to be. But just like how we saw with Nebuchadnezzar when he had this image made of gold and all kind of, you know, different metals. Like he wanted, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to bow down to the image. But they was like, nah, we ain't with that. The same thing going to happen during the days of when this religious leader is up and ruling the world. The dragon or Satan going to give him power to give life into the image of the beast. What else it say?
That the image of the beast shall both speak and cause that many as would not worship the image of the beast shall be killed.
You see that? They're going to be killed. But keep going to verse 16.
And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Go ahead.
And that no man might buy or sell, save that they had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
You see that? The name of the beast, or the number of his name. You know. But it says what? And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. What it say in 18?
Here is wisdom. Let him that understandeth count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man, and his number is 666.
See, that's 666. But even when you look at the Vicar of Christ, when you look at the Roman numerals behind the letters, it's 666. It's pointing all the way back to the Vatican. Letting you know it's like, all right, these the people you want to pay attention to. Baptist Church, they're not putting a mark in your head on your forehead. You know, I'm saying I meant your right hand. I said forehead. Nobody ain't even catch it. They ain't putting no mark in your forehead and in your right hand. Like the Methodists, they not doing that. Pentecostals, they not doing that. Even though they are daughters of the Catholic Church, like they not doing this. The ones who are doing this is the Catholic Church. They are the ones that's marking you up on Ash Wednesday. You know, dealing with Palm Sunday and Mardi Gras and all that foolishness. You know, that's the ones that you need to pay attention to because they are the ones that's associated with this. So again, like, shoot, okay, you can get slick and be like, well, you know, God ain't taking it in my right hand, on my forehead. You know, I got it on my thigh. I got it on another body part. Like, nah, you still don't tie yourself associated with this. Like, because you trying to be slick with God. You trying to act like, okay, yeah, the scriptures say right hand or forehead. Well, all right, God, I ain't do it that way. I got it somewhere else. Yeah, nah, the Lord, he still gonna get you.
So you think they brainwashing people right now based on they saying they get these
RFID.
these RFID chips that they put in their hands, say, okay, you're able to purchase this and you're able to get all of this.
It's buy and sell.
Yeah,
You
there's
can't do
a-
nothing without that chip.
No,
Well, you know,
it seems like these commercials is more so showing as if saying
Yeah.
how easy things can be for them.
Yeah, they promoting it.
Is that, you believe that would be the chip?
I don't know.
They got to let you know you take a chip. Like they get
it's
you, like they stick you a chip because they don't count for nothing. You got to know that you take it.
Yeah,
You
it's,
serve my guy.
That
If
chip.
you don't serve my guy, you should eat no more. If you don't serve my guy, you should be able to pay your rent no more.
But
They
that
didn't put
chip
a chip in you.
is the same thing. If you don't pay, alright, it's just like credit card. They trying to get rid of money right now.
yeah, it's a cashless society.
You got
Yeah.
credit cards. Nobody carry cash no more. They use cards. So in getting rid of the card, you got this chip in your hand. You can't buy or sell without that chip. Just like you could work all week long. You can't go buy nothing or sell nothing. You ain't got your card with you.
Who's to say that paperwork?
They don't give out
Paper
checks
chip
no more.
has a
So
clause in it
all
about-
your checks.
Hold on, say that again.
is going
Hold on,
on
let me
that
see what he said.
chip. All your money, your whole bank account is on that chip. All your ID. So you can't, if you want to sell something, it's just that chip is just like pen pal. They're gonna send it to that chip.
I feel that.
You can't buy or
Yeah, but
sell
at the same
nothing.
But they
time,
have to let
he
you know.
he's going to show himself as God, so there's definitely going to be a distinction as to
But
what
they
this
take
shit
a
means.
choice.
You're gonna have, you won't have a choice.
You have a choice now.
Yeah, you have a choice.
They're pushing it on you now.
But it's
No,
not
no,
a-
no,
it's-
no,
it's like a life or death
absolutely
choice.
no.
Yeah, it's not a
That
choice for
decision
worship.
you take is
So they ain't got a gun in your head saying,
Yeah.
worship our God.
That's what I'm saying.
You're wrong.
20 years, 10 years from now, it ain't gonna be no paper money.
Okay.
So, if don't nothing happen right now, it ain't gonna be no paper money no way.
Okay.
So you gonna have a chip or a card. It's one of the two. So when it comes down to it, okay, you can't feed your family without a chip. You want that chip? Yes or no? You gonna take that chip? You want to buy something?
I'll take the chip.
But I'm saying, you got people
I
out
thought you
there
were gonna take
that
it.
got kids, and they feel they're not into the world. A lot of people,
You better not.
every church today gonna go out there and get that chip
Right.
because they don't know no better. They trying to feed their kids.
YouTube
But
video.
if they don't have that chip, they can't feed their kids.
I'm going to say this right
So
here.
it's almost pushing it on people. It ain't a choice.
It is a choice.
It's going to be a
It's a
choice.
choice.
It is a choice because you know about God.
Right, but
I'm
still,
saying we
it's.
know about God.
I mean, but still though, like when you think about the world today that don't know about God,
It's
the
not.
first thing they know about right now is the mark. Like
Right.
they don't even deal
Right.
with the word,
Even Sunday
but
church, yep.
but when you say the word mark, they already know. Oh, 666, the mark of the beast. That's so. So in other words, everybody's geared up towards it, but going through the affliction, meaning like you here during the great tribulation, your faith is really going to be on the table. So now you here doing the great tribulation, because this is when it's going to be implemented. Like right now, yeah, we understand that we're in a cashless society, and it's kind of like they leading up to that cause. But right now, like you got that choice right now.
Yeah,
You got that choice to, because I know people right now that only deal with cash only. They don't deal with cards and nothing. They just deal with straight cash. So in other words, you do have that choice to do cash or to do credit. But at this point, you still gonna have a choice. But at this point, it's not demanding. It's not demanding as it's gonna be at this time than it is now. Like right now, we got a choice. We got a choice to, okay, I want to buy with card, I want to buy with cash. Like that's the choice that we have right now. But right here, it's either you gonna take this mark or you ain't gonna feed your family. So now that's where your choice falls in effect. Well, I serve God. God gonna take care of me. So you know what? I'm good with that mark. But on the other hand, if your faith ain't all the way there and you looking at your starving 4 babies, like that might get your faith very low. And you might be like, well, I gotta feed my kids. Now you don't made that choice. So at this point, even as to what we just read, you gonna have a choice. That's why it said it said in verse 16, it calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their hand or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark. So we understand that. We understand the only way you can buy and sell is unless you have that mark. But you don't have to take that mark. You know what I mean? Like you
You can be killed or take the mark.
or you could be in the wilderness.
Yes, sir.
Avoid all of it.
Avoid all of it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But you know, I mean, for this cause right here, man, like it's just letting you know what church is out here doing this and who dealing with this, so you don't be blindsided to cause they ain't gonna be like serious, they can't sneak a chip up on you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that can't be the case. Like you gotta in your right mind know this is what I'm taking. Or this is what I'm denying. You know, because if they sneak it in you, like, you ain't know. That's just like some of these meats that we eating. We don't know that they cutting the same chicken using the same blade they cutting pork. We don't know that. You know what I mean? So we still eating it. But we praying over it, but we don't know that. The same thing when it comes to the mark. Like, shoot, I just went and got a vaccine, you know, a flu vaccine. I ain't know they had a doggone chip inside of it. Like, I ain't know that. Like, that's, you know, so in that case, man, like, huh?
You won't be accountable.
You won't be accountable if you don't know. Right, you're right. You're right. So,
I ain't taking no flu shot,
no, that was just an example.
Yeah,
Hint, nobody should be taking this stuff. Nah, I don't, I ain't vaccinated. None of my kids. Except for my oldest. My oldest taught, like I said, my oldest taught me a lot. We gave him a vaccine and he had the reaction immediately. He 14. We was done after that. Yeah, we was done.
It breaks your body immune system down, so you can get sick, and then it goes back up. That's why I take that shot.
But any question or comments or? Okay.
Yeah, I had a question from when Brother Jim had said, you know, when he mentioned about eye for eye, tooth for tooth. So we know that, you know, there's laws that God has established, and we, you know, are no longer under the sacrificial law. But are there other laws that are in categories, you know, like dietary law, like world law, war law, whatever, that changes? We know that it doesn't change, but is there a law that when he has said, we know that he said in the old times, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but now we love everybody, and, you know, once you curse that, or, you know, do something to you, turn your face, or you know what I'm trying to say.
So
what is this distinction there?
So when Jesus came, you know, because he even said that eye for eye, tooth for a tooth. Like, Jesus was giving you just some more perfect of how to exercise that law through love. You know what I mean? Not saying that, you know, God is a God of love. Like, yeah, he teaches us to love, but he's a God of wrath as well. You know what I mean? But, you know, that's where that mercy came in. You know, how you can, you know, be merciful with your brother. You know, if he did this to you, that's why Jesus said turn the other cheek, right? But when you look at the law itself, certain laws today we can't uphold because we're not in the land. You know, a lot of the laws that we could keep to a T as to what we can go and read in Leviticus, we can go and read it in Numbers, is we was set up in the land. So by us being set up in the land, now, you know, my wife on her cycle, I could put her in a location to where she can't defile my whole house.
Yeah, I understand that. Even with the eye for eye, though. That,
right.
You know, you saying that we under a mercy now. I mean, so.
Let's go and look at John real quick. John chapter 1.
You might want to poke somebody's eye.
John chapter 1.
Good question, though.
She's trying to get you back, but eye for an eye.
John chapter 1. And let's read verse 17. John 1 and 17.
Well, the law was given by Moses, but
see
grace.
That? So we know that the law, you know, it was given to Moses, and what that eye for eye, tooth for tooth was, it was dealing with stealing. It was dealing with, okay, if somebody they steal and they get their hand cut off. Or something to that effect. It wasn't going to the point of like, okay, well, this brother did this to me, I'm going to do this unto him. Like, nah, it was talking about, okay, if you got caught doing this, breaking the law, then all right, we gonna probably cut a hand off. Or we gonna probably, do something to your eye. But it wasn't talking about, you doing tit for tat. You know what I mean? But now we see is that what? It says, for the law was given by Moses. But what else it say?
But grace and truth came by Jesus Christ.
You see that? Grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. So now with, Jesus, like, he giving us grace now. Because when you think about it, we all, except for probably the kids, like my son, he was born and dealing with the word. But short from him, probably all of us should be dead. Because we ain't come out the womb keeping the Sabbath. We ain't come out the womb eating clean food. We ain't come out the womb not worshiping all these other gods. So therefore, like, we should all be dead. Especially when we see that what a man was killed for picking sticks on the Sabbath. We did a whole lot of that before we came into the truth. So that's why we see is that now, Jesus, what he brought was that grace and truth. He brought mercy. Because like, if you can be, in order for you to receive mercy, you got to be merciful. So now, it goes all the way back to, loving your neighbor as yourself. But, when you look at the law, dealing with eye for eye, tooth for tooth, like, it wasn't, it was talking about how, like, okay, if you caught a thief, like, this how you probably going to deal with him. You know what I mean? Not so much as to, like, this brother doing something to me, so I'm going to do something back to him. Like, nah, it was set up based on, if you had somebody hiding out in the land.
That was like an isolated incident.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, in most cases. Because if you got a thief, you got somebody who killed somebody, and he a fugitive, and he didn't kill him by mistake, but killed them, if he killed them not by mistake, but if he willfully killed them, then, like, he got to get killed. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because he killed this person on purpose. Yeah, but if it was an accident, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
oh, okay, he be drinking all that water, yeah.
I got you.
So Moses, knowing that law, is the reason why he fled from after killing that Egyptian.
Well, he fled from Pharaoh.
He escaped.
He fled. He fled from Pharaoh.
Yeah.
That's why he fled. That's what it say. Yeah, he fled. He fled because, Pharaoh. He was scared of his life. He was scared of his own life going to be taken. Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, Pharaoh found out, more than likely. Right?
He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he found out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you good with that, sis? All right, praise the Lord. Anybody else?
We just saying your life.
You said you had a question, John? Or you just stretching?
No, it's straight.
Okay. Any comments or questions? No comments or questions?
I would say, like what you were saying, like, back in the day, we saw sodomites, whipping stone, because it's wickedness. We can't stone people no more. That's the end of the day time. Even when it comes to our clothes, the clothes supposed to be 100% or whatever it is. They're looking at the majority of our tags, I'm pretty sure they 60, 40, 70, 30.
Amen.
In land, it has to be 100% cotton or 100% wool. You can't just the wool with the cotton. So those kind of things right there change the way in the land. Even how we keep the Feast of Tabernacles. We're supposed to be drilling boots. We don't drill in boots. We go to our house. We're inside of our land. We drill inside of the boot. We don't tap in the boots. These things that change, they're temporary to the Lord.
So animal sacrifices stop temporarily. It's going to be re-implemented. It just.
When the Lord comes back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even the one that's
Wait a minute.
Nah. That's just Nah, that's just the ones that's gonna be in Jesus' kingdom for 1,000 years. That's what's gonna go on during that time.
Oh, that's reflected when it's gonna be people there.
Yeah, let's go look at it right quick.
But I was going to say, they say you doing sacrifices if everybody, if there's no evil, no sin, because that's what the sacrifices are for.
Do that now.
Who told you no sin?
Sin there.
Who told you that?
No,
They could be no sin.
but once I found out, once he just said it's gonna be flesh there, it's gonna be sin there. So that's when they're gonna sacrifice.
Yup,
But
that
when
flesh.
you first said God's gonna be there, I'm thinking, okay, there's don't supposed to be no sin there, so it shouldn't be no sacrifice. But then again, when it first started out, it's gonna be flesh people there too. So I understand now about sacrificing, because as long as there's flesh, there's gonna be sin.
Our thoughts, our own minds sometimes can be sin.
Yeah, regardless, if it's a person of flesh, it's gonna be sin. I don't care what it is. It's gonna be sin.
Even without the devil.
Where my phone at? It's on. Give some. Hold on, let me say it. Child is gonna be on the.
Amen, sis.
100 years old.
He said when that child dies, so 100 years old.
Yeah. The child.
You looking for that?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Isaiah 60,
60.
65, 20.
I was right, man. Okay. Let's go look at this Isaiah real quick. Isaiah 65.
Isaiah 65.
And let's start at verse 17.
For behold, I create.
Hold on. Yeah. Let's start. We at 65 and 17.
Where we at?
Isaiah 65 and 17. Go ahead.
For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall be remembrance, nor come into mind.
Go ahead.
But be glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem and rejoicing, and her people of joy.
Go ahead.
And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people.
So this God, he gonna rejoice in Jerusalem. But it said what? It says, in my people, and what else?
And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying.
Go ahead.
There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For a child shall die in 100 years old.
So a child, a child gonna die at 100 years old. You still gonna be considered a child, if you died 100 years of age. Now in our time, we say that's old. But now we see is that long life has been reinstituted. So we're going to see is that now you died 100 years of age, you consider to be a child. But what else it say?
Being 100 years old shall be accursed.
Hold on, set it up. Read it from the top.
Oh.
Because I think you
being the sinner. Hold on.
Yeah, you missed it.
But the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed.
So it says, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be an accursed. So we see that sin is still, just like you were saying, as long as that flesh is still out there, you still have sin on the scene. But we see is that what? It says, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. So we see is that during, Jesus' kingdom, that's going to be for 1,000 years, we still going to be dealing with sin. Let's go over here to
Yeah, that's what I was saying last
Yeah, during Jesus' kingdom?
What?
If it's flesh there, you still got to deal with sin, no matter where. But at the end, everybody's going to be caught up and turned into spiritual.
So for that 1,000 years, you're saying still going to be
There's still going to be sin there.
Yeah.
But Satan's not
How
going
about
to
you receive a new body once you
That's if you make it in the first resurrection. Yeah, you're going to have 1,000 years. Isaiah 66 is going to let you know is that flesh and blood is still going to be in Jesus' kingdom for 1,000 years. That's what Isaiah 6:6 is referring us to. So then in his kingdom, you still gonna have what we just read. What? A person that died at 100 years old is considered to be a child. A sinner that died 100 years of age, he's considered to be accursed, or he's accursed. Let you know is that that's still going to be taking place during Jesus' kingdom of 1,000 years.
Their age gonna be like Noah and Moses.
Let's go look at this Ezekiel though. Let's look at this Ezekiel 44.
Yeah, because that's what I was saying last time, Chuck. The animals are going to be eating hay.
Yeah, that's in Isaiah 11.
Yeah, the lions and stuff, they're not going to be eating meat no more. But that means there's going to be flesh animals there. So there's going to be flesh people there too.
Say it again.
Is there ever going to be a point where it's all spiritual?
Yeah.
My Father's kingdom.
That's when everybody get caught up. It's the ones that had bodies.
Yeah, we caught on because everybody talking at one time. So let's what you were saying now? No, hold on. What your wife was saying first?
So is there going to be a time where everybody on the earth is going to have spiritual bodies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be at the time during New Jerusalem. It's gonna be that's gonna be before that point, because the great white throne judgment is it's gonna be like kind of like right like 5.5, 6, if that make any sense. Meaning like the end of the 1,000 years, then we go into the beginning of the 8th day, and then everything is completed before going into the 8th day. Because when you read Revelations 20, judgment is going about. But let's go and read that. Before we come to Ezekiel, because we was coming to Ezekiel to look at sacrifice still going about during Jesus' kingdom for 1,000 years. That's why we was coming here to Ezekiel 44. So you can hold your finger here in Ezekiel 44, and we'll come back to it. But let's go over here to Revelations 20 real quick just to get some clarity. So Revelations 20. Revelations 20. And let's pick it up at verse 7. Go ahead.
And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison.
You see that? So now the 1,000 years is expired, meaning it's over with. So now Satan is going to be loosed out of his prison. Well, what happens after the 1,000 years being over with? That represents the Sabbath. So now we going into the 8th day at this point. So now we're going into the 8th day. This is the beginning of the 8th, but keep going though. Skip down to verse. We'll keep reading it. Verse 8.
And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
Go ahead.
And they went up on the breadth of the earth, compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of the heavens and devoured them.
So the Father sent this fire down. This is the last war. It's over with. The Father sent this fire down and devoured, the remnant of Gog and Magog. Now let's go into read verse 10. Go ahead.
And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.
So the beast and the false prophet, they beat the devil to the lake of fire. So we see is that what now? The devil is being cast into the lake of fire. Now let's read verse 11. Go ahead.
And I saw a great white throne.
So now we're going into the great white throne judgment. But just remember, we still in the cusp of the 8th day. We still in the beginning stages of it. All right, so it says what? And I saw a great white throne. Go ahead.
And him that sat on it, for whose face the earth and the heavens fled away, and there was found no place for them.
Go ahead.
And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works.
Go ahead.
And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up to the dead which were in them.
So we see flesh and blood, it's standing before God. It says, and I saw, the dead, small and great, stand before God. Because of what? He brought them up out of the graves. But we know that, still flesh and blood is, still on the earth at this course. But it's not reading that, is it the flesh and blood that was in Jesus' kingdom? All we just see is that, the dead, small and great. But we're going to keep reading it, though, because it's going to tell us something in 14. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish up 13.
And they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell was cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death.
Go ahead.
And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
So whosoever, that's i.e. your neighbor, your girlfriend who like girlfriends, your boys who like boys, like what? Their name ain't gonna be found written in the book. Nah, like, I still like to eat my calamari. I still like catfish. Like, nah, you're not gonna be found written in the book. Oh, I don't really too much care about keeping the Sabbath because every day is the Sabbath. Like, you're not gonna be found written in the book. So that ain't gonna just be people dead. That's why we saw in Isaiah 65? That's why we read in Isaiah 65 pertaining to, the sinner is gonna be in a curse at 100 years of age. Because you still gonna have in Jesus' kingdom flesh and blood. The class today was showing that, when you caught up to meet the Lord in the air, we don't have to be in Jesus' kingdom. We made the first resurrection. That's why when you read the beginning of Revelation 20, it says, let's go back to Revelation 20. Yeah. Praise the Lord. Yeah. Let's go back to Revelation 20 real quick. And let's read verse 4. Read that.
And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, nor his image, neither had received his mark upon his foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
You see that? So these are even though, wow, I just had, praise the Lord. Even, because I was questioning this within my head. But even, you look at the ones that made it out of the Great Tribulation, the 12,000 that was marked from each tribe, that's your 144. And then the great multitude, these are the ones that made it out of Great Tribulation. They didn't receive the mark. So they had to be changed as well. You know what I mean? But we see is that these are even us. If we in the wilderness during the Great Tribulation, and we've been living right in Christ, we get changed. But check it out though. Read verse 5 though.
But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
But check this out. Verse 6. Go ahead.
Blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection. Or on such the second death have no power.
You see that? Like, it ain't, the second death ain't got nothing. You don't beat the second death. That ain't got nothing to do with you because what? You rolling with Christ for 1,000 years. You just like him. Meaning like now you got an immortal body, but you still gonna have flesh and blood here on this earth. You know what I mean? Like you just not, Lord willing, don't want to be within that 1,000, those flesh and blood people that's going to be on the earth. You want to be immortal at this point.
So are they able to tempt those who have been resurrected?
Nah.
I ain't think so.
Nah.
I was just making sure.
Check this out. Let's go over to Isaiah real quick. Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 30. No, I thought that was dang, I just had a brain freeze. We was dealing with
Ezekiel 44, or is that something else?
Yeah, that's something else. But we was dealing with in Revelation 20. Yeah, we was looking at that. Yeah, dang, I just had it on my head. It's in Matthew, not Isaiah.
Give me some keywords. Keywords.
I can't even think of it now. Yeah, I can't even. I know it's. If I keep saying it, we was talking about the 1,000 years. Right. We was talking about that during Jesus' kingdom for 1,000 years. Like if and you were saying, will they be able to tempt those that got up in the first resurrection? That's gonna take place before all of that. Like when you get caught up to meet the Lord, that's going to take place before his 1,000 years. I'll be having commercials on my phone. I don't know why, but that's going to take place before. Meaning like you're going to get caught up to meet the Lord in the air, and this would be around the time of the wrath coming from God. The 7 trumpets going to introduce the vials being poured out on the earth. The 7 trumpet is going to, announce the coming of the Lord. At that time, then those that died right in Christ, that's in the grave, and those that are alive, they're going to be changed, and they're going to meet the Lord in the air. So from that point, they're going to come back down, and they're going to do a whole lot of killing. Understand, all this killing got to be done before you go into the rest, which is 1,000 years. Because ain't none of that going to be going on. It's supposed to be peace. That's why, let's go over to Isaiah 13 real quick. Isaiah 14.
Isaiah 14?
Yeah, Isaiah 14.
But the little bit that's left is going to be within that 1,000 years.
Yeah, Isaiah 14, because you're gonna still have flesh and blood there. You know what I mean? And like flesh and blood, like we could see during the time before we got cast out of the land. Like we had a government set up. You had Levi dealing with the sacrifices of God. You had, certain sacrifice that was unto God. We had feast days. Certain things was dealt with that. We had okay, the woman being on her fountain, she can't come into the sanctuary. Like we had a government established. And look what we did. We still allowed sin to enter into, the establishment that was set up of God. So even during Jesus' kingdom for 1,000 years, the same setup is going to be, you're going to have God back on this earth. Just like how it was when, you had the veil, and then you had God sitting behind the veil of the temple. Like the same setup is going to be, and people going to still be tripping. We're going to go and look at that in Zechariah. We're going to look at that in Zechariah. Zechariah 14, but we're going to look at this Isaiah though. We're going to look at this Isaiah 14, and we're just going to read one verse. Verse 7. Isaiah 14 and verse 7. Go ahead.
The whole world is at rest.
The whole earth is at rest. Go ahead.
And it's quiet. They break forth into singing.
So at this point, this is in Jesus' kingdom for 1,000 years. The whole earth is at rest at this time. Meaning, let's go over to Isaiah chapter 11 now. Meaning like, there's no more killing on the earth. At a rampant as to what we see now. You know what I mean? Like some sin, I don't know what kind of sin it is that's going to be going on during Jesus' kingdom for 1,000 years. But some sin going to creep in. It's just not going to be as to what we see because it's going to be at a controlled level. Okay, you breaking the Sabbath, we finna stone this individual. You know what I mean? Like that's what's going to allow it to be governed. It's going to be allowed to be controlled because you're going to have the law back on the scene. You're going to have, all right, you slept with that man's wife? All right, guess what? We finna stone you and her.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we finna get rid of that. That's all going to be going on during Jesus' kingdom for 1,000 years. That's what's going to be able to govern and control the sin. Right now, we can't stone nobody because we ain't found without sin. Like Jesus said to they tried to bring the woman that was caught in the very act of adultery. So, like, nobody's perfect to that point to stone somebody. But let's look at this Isaiah chapter 11, even still dealing with Jesus' kingdom for 1,000 years. Let's look at Isaiah 11, and let's read verse 5. Isaiah 11 and verse 5. Go ahead.
And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins.
Go ahead.
The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid.
You see that? The wolf rolling with the lamb. You know, wolf eat sheep. But at this point, like, they dwelling together. Keep going, though.
And the calf and the young lion and the fattening together, and a little child shall lead them.
So a child going to be in the midst of all of that. You know, you mean to tell me a child probably the age of my son going to be able to play with a wolf? Yeah. Because ain't no more killing ain't no more death going to be on the scene like that. But keep reading, though, verse 9. Read. I'm sorry, verse 8. Read that. I'm sorry, 7, yeah.
And the cow and the bear shall feed. Their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw with like the ox.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lion. You got a lion. So, well, he the king of the jungle. Like, he eating straw like the ox. Like, he don't want to chase a zebra no more. Just give him some grass. He good. But we know that's not now. That's during the time when Jesus set up his kingdom. But keep reading, though.
And the suckling child shall play with the hole of the asp, and the whining child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den.
So that's a poisonous snake. You're going to have children playing with cobras and vipers and all kind of, rattlers. They're going to be able to play with that because that's not going to be the case. Watch. Check out what it say, verse 9.
They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountains.
You see that? Like, they ain't going to hurt nor destroy. Because what?
For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea.
You see that? The knowledge of the Lord is going to be filled with it. It's going to be filled on the earth as the waters that cover the sea. That's why we read Micah chapter 4, because now the law going to be going forth from Zion. Letting you know it's that, like, all right, God on this earth, he got his government here. That's why he said, let's go over to Isaiah chapter 7 real quick. I know we passed time, but, you don't start something. No, I'm just playing. Isaiah chapter 9. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 9. I said 7, but I meant say 9. Isaiah chapter 9, and let's look at verse 6. Isaiah 9 and verse 6.
For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders.
You see that? He going to have a government. It's going to be upon his shoulders. And check out how his government going to be set up. Go ahead.
And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.
He's all of this. He's your counselor. He's called Wonderful. The Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. But check out what verse 7 say. Go ahead.
Of the increase of his government and peace.
You see that? His government is going to be a peace. That means ain't no more, carnivorous animals going to be able to kill in it. Because, it's going to be peace. Ain't going to be no more hurt on the earth. Keep going, though.
There shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order it, and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth ever and ever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this.
So this is why during the course of his reign for 1,000 years, you're going to have flesh and blood on the earth. The law is still going to be going forth from Zion. Meaning like, hey man, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not have any graven images. Thou shalt not, covet thy neighbor's things. Like all of that is going to be implemented as a whole because God is on this earth and the law is going forth from Zion. At this point, Lord willing, we are those gods or those angels that's keeping people in the way. You know what I mean? Letting them know is they're like, hey, nah, you might not want to do that. Within their mind. You know what I mean? Kind of like how we are now. But we going to be that's going to be, keeping the people guided in the way. But the word of God, which is the law, that's going to be going forth. And you're going to still have flesh and blood people on this earth that's going to be tempting to break these laws. That's why I think we went to that Ezekiel chapter 20, And it was talking about how when God go and gather the nation of Israel, he going to take them into the wilderness, and he going to make them come up under the bond of the covenant. And he said, and those that rebel, meaning you're going to have some rebels. And he going to kill them. So you still going to have people with a messed up mind. You know what I mean? That's amongst God. Yeah, but you know, like I said, man, Lord willing, man, we be changed. And we ain't got to deal with, you know, even going through that. Yeah. That's good. Praise the Lord.
But the same thing with you're talking about here. Now, this is going to be future time.
Yeah.
So is it? I know you're saying they're going to be stoning people. All the old rules going to be back. But is new equipment now, newer days? Instead of people getting stoned, they got guns and knives and stuff like that. So when instead of what, like if like you were saying, if a guy does something with somebody's wife or whatever, and back in the day they would stone him and her or something. Right. By it being future times, instead of them stoning them, what would they do? Lock them up or kill them, shoot them, or
let's go to Hebrews.
Heads off or what?
Let's go to Hebrews real quick. Hebrews 13. Hebrews 13. Read one. Read verse 8.
Jesus Christ the same yesterday and today and forever.
He the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if stoning was the case in his time, I don't see why he would change it. I don't see, I can't read that, you know, just because technology has advanced, you know, that it's going to change, you know. I just see the same way stoning is stoning. Because when you think about it, that's more of a torturous death than you just taking an AK and just blasting. Nah, you literally sitting here, bow, throwing stones, and like, you still not dead. Like you tied to a post, and you got people just probably trying to aim for your head, and they keep missing, hitting you in your throat. You know what I mean? And like, now your throat leaking, but you still alive, and people still trying to aim at your head, so now they hit you in your eye and knock your eyeball out. Like, I mean, that's gruesome. You know what I mean? That alone, and that right there, when they did that, that was to put fear upon the people. Like, when they saw somebody get stoned like that, the people was afraid. You know what I mean? But shoot, you pull up and like, I don't see that. I mean, I don't know, but what I see is Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? And then he's the same.
So when they ask for the mark of the beast, it ain't no putting a gun in your head. They probably literally cut your head off for the agonizing slow death.
Or probably if you got some children with you, they might start cutting away at your children.
Okay.
Laying your children right in front of you.
Kind of like how he said it, I was thinking that, you know, like he kind of like he said, I had the same thought. New days, you ask that
right.
for the mark of the beast, you don't take it. But
they probably could.
That's too easy though.
Yeah, but
it does say they're supposed to behead you, so that would make it like, you know.
Yeah, you sitting there and you denying I'm good, but you got your children with you, and they cut one of their arms off and hit it with some salt just so he won't bleed out. Now you sitting there looking at your child in pain and agony, like, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? So I think that torture is probably
worse.
Because when you look at the Spanish Inquisition, you know, like, it was wicked. There was some wicked stuff going on.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
You know what?
Yeah. What you
At that time, ain't there no more weapons. When Jesus come back here, there no more guns.
Cause you gonna put your
but we not. It's gonna be. Yeah. It ain't gonna be no more war going about.
You gotta get all your weapons to plowshares. Yeah. You got to get all your weapons, farm material, which you got to with a shovel.
Oh yeah. So plowshare.
Yeah, I think in Ezekiel 38 it say they gonna be burning They're gonna be burning like war weapons for like 6 or 7 months. That's how much artillery they had. We gonna be burning them, you know, for like 6, 7 months long. That's a lot of weapons. I think it's what, Ezekiel 38 or 39. But
Ezekiel 38.
I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, I just see Hebrews 13 and 8. You know, he the same yesterday, today, and forever. That's all. That's it? All right, praise the Lord. Anybody?
For that script real fast. You said Ezekiel 38?
Yeah, Ezekiel. Ezekiel 30. Yep, 38. 38 and you know what? It's 38 and no, it's 39. 39 and the passage is 39 and 14. It started around there. Okay. 39 and it started on 12. It says 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying them, that they may cleanse the land. So they're gonna be burying dead bodies for like 7 months. And yeah, all the people of the land shall bury them. It shall be them a renown, the day of the, renown, the day that I shall be glorified with the Lord. But then it says on, where is that? Bless your mighty men and horses. And it say where is that? I know it right here. Trust me.
Verse 9.
Verse 9. 39 and 9. And then they dwell in the cities of Israel go forth.
10, verse 10.
Yeah, and he says, and so that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire. And they shall spoil those that spoil them and rob them, and it shall come to pass in the day. He gave a time frame on how long he was going to be burning the weapons, though.
Keep going.
What is it, verse 11?
Verse 12.
7 months.
Verse 11. Verse 11.
Is it 11? Is it 11?
Yeah, verse 11. Hard, boy.
And it shall stop the nose of the passengers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the weapons.
You better get that next verse.
That's the people. 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying them, that they may cleanse the land. Yeah, all the people. Nah, it say weapons. It say weapons like they're going to be burned. 7 years. It's in 9. It's in verse 9. Not 7 months, 7 years. That's a lot of weapons.
Verse 9.
They're going to be burning weapons for 7 years.
Oh, yeah. Burn them with fire for 7 years.
All the weapons that are being turned in.
Now that's a lot of weapons.
That's a lot of weapons, boy.
That kills. That kills 7 months. I ain't turn the mind in.
Hey.
You get burnt up with it.
Hey, so if that ain't it, we finna face, if that's it, we finna face Jerusalem and close it up. Where them kids at? They outside? Okay.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done in earth.
Thy will be done in earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
Lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercies endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercies endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of Israel.
The King of Kings.
The King of Kings.
The Lord of Lords.
The Lord of Lords.
The one true God.
The one true God.
There is no other.
There is no other.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
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 In Jesus'